Welcome to CBS Easy.
All right, welcome everyone. Today, we're jumping into a really fantastic story about a very unusual pet. And then, we'll tackle this super short but awesome poem. Both are seriously important for your board exams, so let's get right to it.
So let me ask you something, just to get the wheels turning. I mean, what's the absolute weirdest pet you can think of? Because our author, Gavin Maxwell, he chose something pretty out there. Something most of us have probably only seen behind glass at a zoo.
All right, let's get into it. First up, how our main character, this otter named Mijbil, shows up. And let me tell you, it's not like he just went to the local pet store. Not even close.
Okay, so picture this. Our author, Gavin Maxwell. He's in southern Iraq, and he's feeling pretty down after his dog passed away. And he starts thinking about his home back in Scotland, a place called Camus Fearna, which is just surrounded by water. And that's when the light bulb goes off. He thinks, you know what? An otter. An otter would be the absolute perfect pet for a place like that.
And boom, just like that, it actually happens. He's stuck in this city, Basra, waiting for mail that seems like it's never going to show up. And out of nowhere, his friend sets up this surprise delivery. Two guys just walk up with this wiggling sack, and they hand him a note. All it says is, "Here is your otter."
And here he is. Meet Mijbil, the star of the show. I mean, at first, he's just this muddy mess, totally caked in dirt from the trip. But after a good cleanup, wow! He's got this beautiful, soft, chocolate brown fur, and right away you can see his personality. Super playful, super friendly, just a little ball of energy.
Okay, so now that Mijbil's arrived, we get to the next chapter. And this is where things get, well, pretty wild. Getting an otter from Iraq all the way to London? Yeah, that is definitely not a simple task.
Right off the bat, Maxwell hits a wall, a big one. He wants to take the most direct flight home, but the British airline, they have a strict no animals rule. So what now? How in the world is he going to get Mijbil back to London? So he has to think on his feet, right? He comes up with this new plan, a bit of a workaround. He decides to book a flight on a different airline, first to Paris, and then catch another flight from there to London. But of course, there's a catch. The airline says Mijbil has to be in a special box, and it can't be any bigger than 18 inches square. And you know, as if that wasn't stressful enough, they're running late for the flight. So the ride to the airport is just total madness. The driver is tearing through the streets, and Maxwell's just trying to get there in time with Mijbil stuck in his box. It's a real race against the clock.
So they make the flight. But you just knew it wasn't going to be that easy, right? A little while after takeoff, Maxwell opens the box to check on him, and Mijbil is gone, vanished. He'd ripped the inside of the box to shreds and escaped. And just like that, there is an otter loose on the plane, and people are starting to freak out.
And this is where the air hostess comes in. Seriously, she's the hero of this part of the story. While everyone else is panicking, she is just so calm and kind. She actually helps Maxwell find Mijbil. And then, get this, she tells him he can just keep the otter on his knee for the rest of the flight. Maxwell calls her the queen of her kind, and you can totally see why.
So after all that chaos on the plane, they finally landed London. Now the big question is, how is this little otter from the marshes of Iraq going to handle life in a massive city? Well, it turns out Mijbil is not just smart, he's a genius entertainer. He would spend hours playing with his toys. His favorite thing was marbles. He'd lie on his back and just juggle them on his tummy. And he even made up his own game with a ping pong ball and a busted old suitcase. A total character. So when they'd go for walks in London, Maxwell started noticing these funny little quirks that Midge had. These compulsive habits, he calls them. And he compares them to the things kids do, you know? Like how you have to avoid stepping on the cracks or touch every fence post. Well, Midge had his own ritual. There was this low school wall, and he absolutely had to jump on it and run the entire length of it every single time.
Now, as you can probably guess, walking an otter on a leash through London, well, that gets you some looks. People had absolutely no clue what this creature was, which led to some of the most hilarious guesses you can imagine.
Okay, just look at this list. I mean, it is just comedy gold. You got some guesses that kind of make sense, right? A baby seal, maybe a squirrel, a beaver. Okay, but then it gets wild. A bear cub, a leopard, and my personal favorite, a brontosaurus. It just goes to show you nobody in London had ever seen anything like Mijbil.
All right, let's switch gears completely now. We're going to go from a very real, very chaotic animal to a much quieter, poetic one. We're looking at Carl Sandburg's super short but amazing poem, Fog. It starts with this one perfect line. The fog comes on little cat feet.
It's just beautiful, right? He's not just saying the fog came in. He's giving it this quiet, sneaky personality. It doesn't crash in. It arrives silently, stealthily, exactly like a cat.
And the comparison doesn't stop there. The poem says the fog sits looking over the city. It's not just there, it's observant, it's watchful. And then, just as quietly as it appeared, it moves on. The whole thing feels exactly like watching a cat. So what's happening here is the use of a really powerful metaphor. This is the key takeaway. He's not saying the fog is like a cat, he's saying the fog is a cat. And it works so perfectly because of all those things they share. That silence, that patient, watchful feeling, and that way they both move so independently.
Okay, let's pull all of this together. We're going to do a quick review with a couple questions and the main points you absolutely need to remember for your exam. All right, first question. Remember that chaos on the plane? Why did the author have so much admiration for the air hostess? Well, it wasn't just that she helped, it was how she helped. With so much kindness and calm right in the middle of a totally crazy situation. That's what made her stand out.
And here we go. This is your high-yield wrap-up. These are the absolute key points you have to know. Seriously, if you want a quick cheat sheet for revision, screenshot this slide right now. It's got the most important stuff from both the story and the poem. And that's pretty much it for our explainer today. But I want to leave you with a little creative challenge, inspired by that fog poem. Think about the weather where you live. If you had to describe it as an animal, what would it be? Is the heat a lazy lion? Is the snow a silent owl? Just something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you for watching with us. See you next time.